Okay, and we're getting the signal now.
Yes, sir.
And here we go.
I already got the signal for this
Okay,
smoothie. The smoothie is dope.
okay, excellent. Yes, sir. All right. I am very excited today to have two wonderful guests come and spend some time with us on Off the Record, the People's Podcast. We have from Dallas, Texas, Sister Catina Muhammad, and we have Brother Michael, who reigns from Los Angeles, correct, Brother Michael?
Yes, sir. The greater Los Angeles, San Bernardino to be exact.
San Bernardino holding it down. Yes, sir. We appreciate that. Today we are discussing overcoming depression, and we have two great examples of people who've used Dianetics, and that's therapy for people who don't know, a form of therapy for the listening audience and they're going to share with us some of their wins. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone who has sponsored this week's episodes of the Off the Record podcast. We have ABC I Love Me. That's a great children's book that you all should go get. It's on Amazon. We have Street Premiere with Politically Oppressed if you need some video editing and things of that nature. We have the Cheesecake Factory coming from Chicago. If you all have that. Also, we have Sister Amina Haq Muhammad, who just said she wanted to donate from the kindness of her heart to keep the podcast going on mental therapy. She did a great episode. Thank you, Sister Amina Haq. We also I got some sponsors this week, y'all, so I got to just run this out real quick and make sure we get all the sponsors. We also have Akira's coffee shop. We want to give Rich Economy Attire, 312-972-1985. And we also want to give Cakes by Mina IG, 773-679-1374. And Cheesecake Factory, 530-575-3694. Thank you all for your sponsorships, and thank you all for everyone who's tuning in to spend some time with us today as we hopefully leave you inspired, speaking of overcoming depression. Let's start with Sister Catina. Sister Catina.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. What made you decide to get Dianetics to deal with your depression?
Honestly, brother, it was the call or the instruction of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan when he first led the larger body of believers to go and get the tech. We went as a group, we went as a mosque, and while I was sitting there, I said, "Oh, so this is the point in time when the two groups should be able to meet, because we know from what we're taught, the Savior being made of the two people." And so he said he wanted 1,000 auditors. So I said, okay, well, I'll be an auditor. And that is what going through the class to become an auditor and being a first year graduate. Well, before you can graduate with your certificate, you gotta actually audit, and we were all auditing each other so that we could do that. And the first thing that came up, the second thing that came up was that incident, which led to my depression, was when I lost my daughter. So, yeah.
Okay, yes, ma'am. And now you said when you lost a daughter, how did Dianetics or therapy, for the people who don't know what that word means, how did that help you?
So there were certain things that I was not able to confront or to look at or deal with, right? And for me, in my life or my world at that time, my children were all that I had. But I would avoid words like she died, or my daughter died, or things like that. I would even whisper. It was the weirdest thing. Every time I would talk about it, I would whisper it. I had a daughter that passed away, and I started to kind of. I said, why do I do that when I go to speak of it? And it also, I had a large degree of embarrassment and shame about it. And when I went, I went and to specifically get audited for that situation. And it's amazing because I was really afraid to approach it. And I was like, oh, oh no, but it had taken so much of my life. And I thank Allah for the lecture of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan called The Problems in Relationships, where he handled that. So in the beginning, I didn't just lose my mind altogether. You know what I mean? So that by the time because I lost her in 1994, 1996, we went to Dianetics in 2010, the larger body. So by 2010, I'm still, going up and down with how I'm feeling and my progress. And to have the type of potential that Allah had blessed me to have, I wasn't really doing much with it. And it was always I'm going to, I will, and kind of putting things off. So when I finally said one day, because it started to become, really, really, it's to affect me again. And so I went to get audited, and I'm telling you, the first thing that I realized was, oh my God, I was whispering. But the reason why I was whispering is because there were other people. Now, remember, when you're in a moment of pain, your analytical mind or your God mind or that right mind goes down. And so the only thing happening was that you're just recording on a subconscious level. So it picked up that all of my family members were in the kitchen whispering about making the plans and the arrangements for her funeral. And for some crazy reason, I picked up on that, and then I would whisper every time I would talk about it. So when I tell you, when I got audited over that, I sprung into life. It was like, oh my God. And one of the effects that it had, it caused me to shy away from my other daughter. So I had another daughter, and she and our relationship early on was kind of a vague tolerance of her. It was kind of a touch and go. Just being honest, right? It was kind of a touch and go, and I couldn't embrace her like I really, would, and even like I embraced the boys, because there was this idea in the back of my mind that, oh, if I love her too much, she'll die. If I get too close to her, she'll leave too. And so we ran that, and the auditor, oh my God, my auditor on that, she knew exactly what she was looking at, exactly what she was listening to. She took me to exactly what needed to happen. And by the time I came up out of that and I started realizing, oh, that's why I was whispering, oh my God, I was pushing my daughter away. I couldn't access the love, that I needed to give her at that time. It almost immediately, it was like, okay, well, we're done with that. Come here, baby, and that type of thing. So it really was. That was my first real, what? This technology really works here. And no, I don't need a pill. Thank you very much.
Okay, excellent. And I thank you for sharing that story. And we definitely gonna have some follow-up questions. And I see that you all, thank you all for watching, and thank you for your comments as well. Okay, brother Michael, what made you decide to get audited?
Well, of course, the minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, introduced us to it. But for me, I don't like writing. Not saying that just because the minister asks us to do something, tells us to do something, that this is indeed a fact. But I'm the type of person, I don't like riding bandwagons, and just because I see a whole group of people going one way, I kind of like stop and think, like, do I want to go that way? Do I not want to go that way? But of course, following the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, it's kind of hard not to, it's really hard not to be like, the minister says this, and you like, well, I don't know about that. But in what I'm trying to say is, I had a real problem in my life, and I had problems that were accumulating in my life, dealing with my anger, and I didn't know how to solve it. I didn't know like um how to how to particularly go to the root of the problem. And so for me, it was like I heard about it, and then I went with the second wave, and at the end of 2010, beginning of I think yeah, at the end of 2010, I went with the second wave of believers, and when I saw a video on a testimony that one of the girls on the testimony part of the Dianetics video that they show you, she was saying how she had a better relationship with her mother. Coming out of an auditing session, tears started to roll down my eyes because I had a shaky relationship with my mom since I was 14, and I had a lot of anger toward my mother since I was 14. And I didn't, of course, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan goes deeper into why and how to give birth to a God lecture series. Um, because my mother wanted to, fortunately and unfortunately, of course, my mother is the one, like the minister says, women are producing great men and women. So I survived because of my mother, but her initial thoughts were to get rid of me, and she told us this. But I didn't connect the anger that I had toward her, the anger in my relationships in my adult life. I didn't connect that anger toward women with something that probably happened to me when I was in the womb, or the thoughts and the thinking of my mother to get rid of me when I was in the womb. It wasn't connecting. So Dianetics was the course that connected it. And one of the things that I would say is it has helped me, but it is helping me because it's a process, it's a journey, it's a marathon. And a lot of us have, we as Black people, we have deep seated, rooted problems and issues, which is why we still haven't united to this day right now. We still are losing great men and women and losing our children in the streets, in the mosques. We're losing young people in religion to the streets right as we speak. So we have a lot of deep seated rooted issues. So for me, it has helped me, but it is currently helping me. It's going to continue to help me as I use every tool that I have at my disposal to help me calm myself. We have a lot of over emotion as Black men. I had that over emotion. I used to smoke a lot of weed, but then I stopped smoking weed. So that kind of curved it, but the anger would still come out. And then I had a lot of issues with my creativity as a youth in the mosque, um, as a young adult in the mosque and youth in the mosque. Like, I'm an artist, so you want to create, you want to be free to create, but then sometimes, we in the structure, we don't know how to balance our creativity with rules and regulations. You know what I'm saying? It's a hard time to find. You either in creativity, doing what you love to do and feeling free, or you feeling trapped because you feel like you gotta, and we do have to follow rules, laws, regulations, their structure, but we need love. We need more love. So I was battling with that. And that's a hard battle because that can throw you in depression when you have a gift, you have a talent, you have a skill, but the way the administration of the structure is being applied is kind of like, it's almost like it's hampering your gift, your skill, like it's enclosing you and trapping it. So I was dealing with an internal thing. I was also dealing with an environmental thing, and it depressed me, yes, and then it gave me a sense of dealing with, like, where is this anger coming from? I know my dad and my mom had issues growing up, and I witnessed certain things in the household. But when I read Dianetics and I had my first auditing session, um, the first auditing session caused me to feel a high coming off of a painful experience that I experienced when I was a little boy. And so when I felt that high and I felt that lift off my mind, and I felt like, I used to smoke weed. So when you smoke a joint, you get high. You like, yo, I'm ready to go rap. I'm ready to hit the studio. I'm ready to go do this. Let's go. You feeling euphoric. So it was a euphoric feeling coming off of a session, and that's when I knew. I said, yeah, it's something deeper in this. This thing worked. Like, this is powerful. I need to keep investigating this. And then my second session and my third session. But initially, what caused me to go into auditing was me dealing with some real issues, not just from oppression, but also from my Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. I can.
Okay, yeah. Not just from my present state, but from my past state. and and my environment. So that's what really inspired me to go into Dianetics and auditing, and not just Dianetics auditing, but even into Scientology. There's spiritual technology, which moves a little bit faster than Dianetics. But the basis of it is that book, and that book really, really helped me to see not just issues with me. It really, really helped me to see the environmental issues within our mosque, and then the greater issues within our community. So once I saw that it could really help the brotherhood, it could help us get closer and get tighter. And the minister was saying that, I said, man, bro, we need to we that's when I really got blown away. It's one thing to have something that can benefit you. It's another thing when you see that same thing that could benefit so many other people. And if we can just get it to us and inspire us and get us on it, man, we would be a lot more we would be a step more closer to our goal. So that's the initial inspiration of why I went into auditing.
Okay, excellent. Now, thank you very much, and I thank you all for watching. Thank you all both for your responses. Sister Katina, I saw a Facebook post. Oh, peace, Naima. I thank you, and thank everyone for watching as well. Sister Katina, I saw a post that you made on Facebook that you talked about your vision and how through auditing it helped you see better. Could you please explain that? Expound on that to the people who are in the audience.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Yes, sir. As Brother Michael implied in terms of also studying some of the courses, the Scientology courses, I was taking a particular course, and I had for the longest time this issue with driving at night, and so I was taking the course, and I'm doing well on the course, and I'm learning about myself essentially, right? So I'm learning about myself, and I'm looking at the environment and all of that, and I'm doing well, and I'm feeling good. I'm steady going higher and higher up the tone levels or the emotional wellness. And I finished the course, and that's it. I finished the course. I'm done. Okay, good. I'm getting ready to do my next course. About 2 days later, no, it was actually the next night. I'm driving home, and it was nighttime, and I realized, hey, whoa, I can see. I literally can see. It wasn't this. It was a haze. It was a feel, and I was like, and you're speaking to somebody that doesn't normally get nervous. Let me just say that, like, I can stay calm under some of the most hectic circumstances, but I would feel a little twinge of nervousness as I was driving, would be driving at night. And that particular night, I'm like, wait, hold, I can see. I can see this. And I'm telling the children, look, y'all, look at the lines. I can see, oh my goodness, I go to little ball, let you know you headed home and all of that. And it dawned on me. I was like, oh, you know what? That wasn't so much as my not being able to see as it was with so many people say, or particularly my mom and that type of thing. And our parents, their well-being, they're well-meaning. But like the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan again said on that lecture, the problem in relationships, and he did that lecture in the 80s, okay? But like he said in that lecture, our parents just don't quite know enough. So sometimes we put things into our children unknowingly, particularly fears. And so my mother would always say, you can't see at night, wear your glasses, you can't, and all of that type of thing. And I literally recalled when I first went into agreement with or decided that I was going to need some glasses. And that was when I was about 10 years old, and a little girl in school. She was really, happy, little playful. She had, she was very organized and all that. And we were friends. I really liked her. She really liked me. We were, we played together and all that. And she wore glasses. And I thought that, okay, well, and she was smart. She was really smart, And the kicker is I was smart too, but I admired her. She was smart. She wore glasses, and I'm like, oh, maybe I need to wear glasses and I'll be even smarter. So that was my first. So then after that, it's the people come to the school and you do the eye exams. Oh, mom, I need glasses. But I had not even thought about that until after I had finished that course, and then of course the little processes that went with that. And I was driving home that night. I said, you know what? That was me talking about I need to wear glasses, and my mom just reinforced it. You can't see at night. You need to stop and pull over, and you don't want nothing to happen. And all those little fears about having accidents at night wasn't even my own. They were my mom's fears. So I can see, albeit I won't be out at night very much, but I think we were coming from the mosque or something that night, but I can see should I happen to have to be out there. So it's totally awesome.
That's dope.
Okay, excellent, excellent. A sister in the audience, Khadija says, "What course was it?" Says, "What course were you taking?"
Oh, what
Can you
course
hear me,
was it?
sister?
It was
Yes,
a
ma'am.
course called Advanced Procedures and Axioms.
That goes with a
Advanced.
book.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
a
it's
it's
a
a book.
book and
It's a
lecture.
book, and then it's a book and lecture course too, I think. With a
Yeah,
course pack,
Advanced.
absolutely. It's
right?
a book and lecture. Yes. And
Yeah.
it's a course that you take or you would take when you're trying to complete your basics or
Yeah.
go up the bridge as they call it, going clear by that route clear. Because you can, and I just feel the need to say this, you absolutely go clear on Dianetics. Okay, you can that's how the technology was how he first found out about being able to go clear was Dianetics. But in order, just like the brother Michael said, when you're trying to speed up that process, then
Yeah.
by all means you would do that course. So advanced procedures and axioms, and it is just awesome, eye-opening, refreshing, and all the good stuff.
That's beautiful. I'm not a. She said, "Praise be to God and thank you." Naima says, "Beautiful testimony." Thank you very much, sister. And I thank you all for listening and watching, because every testimony helps inspire us to want to get therapy and overcome our own obstacles. And I was inspired to get life repair through somebody else's testimony. And I'm telling you what life repair did for me. I'm telling you, it changed my entire existence. It brought me way up on the tone scale. So I'm always going to keep passing that forward and just die next period. But when I did life repair and I did some courses, it really helped
Yeah.
me out.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, Brother Michael,
Yes, sir.
do you have a personal win that you got that helped you um, along your journey as far as getting off?
Yeah. I would say it's it would have to be one of my earlier times of being audited on Dianetics, and I almost died. I had a near death experience when I was a little boy riding in my car, not my car, riding in my dad's car. But this particular vehicle we was on the 10 freeway in LA. We was going somewhere. And my dad, he drive like a bat out of hell. So he blasting like maybe at least 80. You know what I'm saying? My dad, he drive crazy. So he's driving real fast. And me and my little brother were strapped in the car seat. Um, Actually, not the front seat, not the car seat. We're strapped down in the seat, the front seat. But we small, so both of us can fit in the front seat. But I'm sitting next to the door, and he's sitting next to my dad, or on the other side of me. And my bro don't like the seatbelt on him. He don't like the long strap. So he always take the long strap and put it behind him. So that particular day, the only thing that we had was the short strap. So I'm kind of bored. I'm short, so I can't even see above the dashboard. So I'm just like, man, this is boring. So I start playing with the door handle, and I just go like that and play it, like accidentally just pull it a little bit too hard, and the door flew wide open. It was a long body too, one of them older vehicles, long body, so that the doors were kind of heavy, and the door flung wide open, and immediately I went out the door. The only thing that was holding me up was the strap. So
Mm.
my head, my head is actually looking underneath the car as the car is going at like 80, and I hear my dad cussing. Like he cussing, like, because I mean my dad is he got a temper too, so he like going off. But my right hand, this hand right here is scraping across the highway, like going like scrape, 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 scrape. So my father's trying to pull me in, and I'm actually going through this in an auditing session. About 8 hours to it took me about 8 hours to relieve this particular engram, because L. Ron Hubbard said all near-death experiences hold some of the greatest charge, the greatest negative force that will hold against you in life is a near-death experience. Whether you've been shot, whether you was in a car accident, you fell off the roof. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in the car and I'm like, I'm scared. I'm terrified because one little slip of that seatbelt, one little slip, and my behind is out of the door, banged up on the highway, and ain't no telling who would have hit me or anything. So I'm underneath the car, my hand is dangling, and I don't know how long it goes, but my father manages to yank me back in the car and pull the seat and pull the door back, and I could just hear him like, cussing in it. And when I'm in the session, it took me the first 4 hours. I was about 4 hours. It was a roughly 4 hours, maybe a little bit more in the first session to get it just reduced enough. I had to leave the church, come back for another session just to go back in session. That's how that's how the near death experience. That's how powerful of a negative thing that near death experience was in your life or my life or whoever's life. You know, when I went through it the second time, and mind you, I'm being audited by the student captain out of Indianapolis, Brother Nuri's student captain, because at this time I'm in Cincinnati. So just imagine the brothers. I got to say this real quick. Just imagine the brothers in the mosque, the student captains, the student lieutenants auditing the private soldier, and we're sometimes there's rift between laborer and private soldier. You know what I'm saying? There's sometimes there's issues, but then you in leadership auditing the soldier that's up underneath your charge and your care, and you helping the brother out, and he feel like, man, my captain just saved my life, my captain just helped me out, right? So it's just like every time I see bro, I'm just like, man, I got respect for bro, because bro helped me out. That he wasn't even my immediate student captain, but I was on his team. Our moms was in Indianapolis on their team. They were like our team lead for any details in the nation in the central region. And so I'm like, man, but he's auditing me. And I remember the last thing my dad said. We was going to a record store. My dad from the Caribbean, from Trinidad, so he loved all the soca record. He always go to this record store and buy records and kick it with the bro in the store. So we on our way there, and we on our way in. The last thing I heard my dad say, all you best to be careful. I ain't got no diamond insurance. And when I heard that, I had line laughter. I was cracking up laughing so hard, right? Because I just couldn't believe I just almost died, man. And the only thing you worried about is we got to be careful because you ain't got no insurance. You fooling, bro, right? So but that made me laugh, and I knew the negative experience was gone. It was released from my mind and erased. I can remember and I can laugh to this moment. I don't hate my dad. My dad was just funny, he was just being him. That's just my pops. Many black men may not have the kind of positions where they have like the highest insurance that for all their children, but my dad at least took time to spend time with us. He came to get us. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times that mean more than the insurance. You was able to pull me back in the car. I wasn't riding with another dude or some other cat that my mom dropped me off by, and I had another dude watching me. It was my dad that saved my life. So regardless if you had insurance or not, even though you said that, and I was kind of like, come on, man, why would you say that, man? I almost died. I laughed about it, and I can still, be good with my pops today because of that situation. That's where he saved my life, and God really blessed him to save my life. Thank Allah, God, I'm still here. But that was one of my greatest wins, and I knew then that this technology worked because I was actually getting those wins, and I wasn't getting those wins with white folk from the church. I don't mind being audited by any human being. I don't care because, like the minister said, when a fox is in a hole, when you in a hole, you don't care who pull you out of that hole. You don't care if it's a calf. You don't care if the Senate member of the synagogue of Satan pull you out of the hole. If they let you out of prison, they let you out of prison. You know what I'm saying? You move on with your life. So I don't care about a Caucasian or anybody auditing me, but just the fact that a student captain, a soldier, a brother, a husband, an example in the mosque was auditing me and helping me go through that situation, man, that's beyond words. You can't ask for nothing better than that being in the mosque. So, that was one of my greatest wins that I knew then that the brotherhood and the Nation of Islam, we have to use this technology, man. If we're not using it, it's a major problem.
Excellent, and thank you very much, Brother Michael. Sister Catina, I was getting a little kickback from your. I think your phone was giving me a little feedback from him and the thing. Is there a way you can adjust that, please?
Yes, I can definitely do that.
I can let her borrow these headphones.
Thank you, Brother Michael, for
$200, you're
that.
gonna have to let me borrow.
Yeah, I can let her. I can just slip them on the other side of the screen. You know what I'm saying? She could put them on and slip them right back when it's time for me to go back on.
I'll
Yes,
mute
ma'am.
my
Sister
video. I'll mute
Katina.
my mic. Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, ma'am. No, what I was asking you is when you once you saw the benefit of it, how did your family members what did they know? What did they say about you once you started getting audited? Did they notice an instant change?
Yes, my family have been supportive all the way.
Yes, ma'am. You froze up, Sister Katina. You froze up on it.
And
You there?
that is Christian, diehard Christian. My father, I don't know what he is and what he do, but he just lives by he really and truly lives by the principle of do unto others. That's what he does. So when I became an auditor and I started to win awards and people start writing these awesome success stories, and Brother Michael said it, it's like when you are able to help another brother, another sister to come up out of their degree of pain or discomfort, and you see a change. And so I've been able to use, the technology with my children. I have a son now. I think now he just likes doing this because every other Tuesday his knee hurt, So I gotta do something with him,
Yeah.
I had a son, who had some problems, with drugs and alcohol. And one time he came and he said, I kind of strategically, right? I knew he was coming over, so I put in the Dianetics DVD, and I'm just sitting there, just kind of watching it, and he sit down, and I'm telling you the honest truth. He sat down, and probably about 3 minutes into the Dianetics video, he says, "Ma, I think I need that." And so after that, we started doing, locationals, to kind of help him to reorient himself and things like that. Now he could do it himself. So in terms of my family, they are just like, yeah, keep going, because when I've always been pretty happy-go-lucky, pretty, free, spirited. Hey, yeah, come on, you can't never, the people that raised me, they from the South, you know what I mean? My grandparents, both of them, my father's parents are from Canton, Arkansas, and my mom's parents are from Jackson, Mississippi. So both families were very close. Like you didn't know who was on whose side of the family for a long time. And they always knew me to be this happy-go-lucky person. And so when I hit that point where I wasn't that person so much, and I was turning because of that loss of my. And then, so when I had to have a cesarean, that traumatized me. And now that when I said that the one about the daughter was my second session, that was actually the first session that I ever had, Nate, when they, asked me for that moment, I went right there. And it was very, very, very traumatizing, but we got out of it. And that's what restored the life force back to me. It was like, oh, I am here. I'm not dead. I'm good. And so my family were just like, Mom, she's back. My father, he was like, hey, baby girl, everybody notices the difference. So they'll ask about things. So they always come if I get awards, and they're very, very happy and very, very supportive.
Okay, excellent. Yes, ma'am. Okay, and thank you all for your comments. Sean says, okay. These are praise be to Allah. Thank you all for watching, brother. Michael.
Yes, sir.
How is you getting audited helped you interact with your family and your family's perception of you?
Man. I think more so I think it's more so seen in my creativity. Just all of these years growing in my artwork, growing in music, growing as an artist. But I know that I've had more compassion for people when I know I can help them. So I know, I've offered certain services to, like I've audited my big sister, audited my little sister, I inspired my big sister to get on the technology, introduce my little bro to the technology, try to introduce my mom. My dad and my stepmom know about it. But my mother one day fell down the steps where she slipped. She was walking down some steep steps. This is like maybe 6-7 years ago. She slipped down some steep steps, and she hit the back of her head on a rock, like a real hard rock. And I heard her outside, so I helped her up, got her back in, even though, repairing a relationship with damage that was done in the womb and when you was little, that's a process. But just the little things mean a lot. So I was able to sit my mom down and give her a touch assist. And my mom like loved to like do yoga, walk, skip down the street, be exercising down the street, be in the middle of the street walking, exercising, of course, like side streets and whatnot. That's how my mother is. She just outgoing like that, singing, singing praise songs and whatnot, just enjoying life. And she was on her way to do that. So I was able to help her with a touch assist and relieve her pain within about 10-15 minutes. Everything was gone. And she was, next thing I know, I look out the window, she right down the street doing her thing. So I think it's helped me, my family, because I'm a person that, you know, whether they know it or not, whether they realize it or not, I'm gonna promote that technology. I'm gonna promote that tool to help you. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna promote what I know to help you. But as far as me, I think more so it's in my creativity and my ability to create and confront because one of the things that we have issues with as children, we grow up and we come into our parents' personalities. You know what I'm saying? The technology, they call it valences. Nothing wrong with being like your dad or your mom, but you do have your individual spirit that you need to, form for yourself. And sometimes we can take on our parents' personalities so much that we be like all they negative traits. When all their negative traits are supposed to stop with them, and we supposed to start a whole fresh new slate with whatever we got to deal with. So me being able to confront more, you know what I'm saying? Being able to deal with my parents more, deal with people in my family more, and not be that person where I'm a little boy anymore. You know what I'm saying? I'm just living in your shadow. Like I'm my own person, and I can respect you as who you are, but I can deal with you better with the technology. So.
Okay, excellent, Michael. And thank you all for your comments and your likes. And I appreciate you all for taking time out of your schedule. Sister Catina, I asked you earlier before we were on camera about relationships and the power of Dianetics and how it affects you, in the relationships and love and things of that nature, and having the ability to love. What are your could you please let me know what you said? Let us know what you were telling me earlier as far as the importance of that.
Yes, sir, absolutely. I'm going to start by saying at the end of the lecture, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did in 2017 in Atlanta, the Family Summit. He ended his lecture by saying, what the world needs now is love, sweet love.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That is so profound. Jesus of 2,000 years ago is recorded to have said when the disciples asked them before his departure, well, what would you have us do? What do you want us to do? And he said, my greatest wish is that you love one another as I have loved you. So then what is it about love, and why is it in such a confused and, if you will, interpolated state? It's because somebody doesn't want us to love. Well, why not? And somebody has a vested interest in handicapping you and I from being able to love one another. Okay. All righty. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that love and hate are the same emotion. It's just on opposite sides of to the extreme side. So love is on one side and the hate is on another, but it's just two extremes of the same emotion. He also said that love itself is not just an emotion, but it's the mother of all emotions. So if you love, you'll feel anger sometimes, but it's not to be controlled by the anger. You'll feel fear sometimes, but as Brother Michael said, you got to be able to confront it. Okay, so what happens is, dynamically speaking, when a person is what we call low on the emotional tone scale, meaning they've had just enough losses to not be vibrant, to not be happy, to not be full of life, right? Then the love actually is suppressed and depressed in the individual. So with an angry person, brother spoke about being angry. Well, what is their ability to love, or their love level? It's anger. So you get the argument, and the subconscious idea is an expression of love. You understand what I'm saying? But it comes across as hate. So then for an auditor, what we have to do, and I've just dedicated my life to this. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, don't approach anything without the intention to master it. So I've dedicated my life to be able to audit. I travel and audit people. You know, I was just in Atlanta a few months ago and that type of thing, because I love it, and I want to help him to help us free ourselves so that we can love, because that's what it's going to take for us to get out of the condition that we're in personally, as Brother Michael was speaking about, but then as a male-female relationship, and, you know, with our children, our families, our communities. So what we're essentially doing is we're going in and we're picking up the heaviness. We're picking up what's called a charge off of the person from that bad, painful experience. I was hit by the car. I fell off my bike. And the biggest ones are somebody left me. You know what I mean? My first love and I broke up, you know, and that type of thing. And so we're going in with auditing, and we're taking that up, and we're picking that up, and we're picking it up so that they can come up and up and up. And now the individual, he's no longer angry anymore. You know, it might be a little antagonistic, you know, flip a thing around on you. That's all right. Because here's the thing. If you've taken a person who's in grief or depression and you've made them angry, you've actually improved his condition. So all we got to do, you just, you know, you stay on angry, and I'll see you next week. With me, with my, the people that I see, and I set them up routinely, right? Because it's not a one-hit wonder. You will get results after one session by all means, but it's not a one-hit wonder. You know, some things that happen to you. Let's get to it. So, but if you take that depressed person and make him angry, you've actually improved this condition. Well, if you take the angry person and you make him bored, you have in fact improved his condition. Well, now let's dig up what has happened that lands you in boredom. And let's get you on up to cheerful, because now you're on the other side of that love equation, and it's not coming across as hate, as contempt, as fear. It's coming across as good, clean. Hey, sister, I love you. Hey, you know what I like? You know when men used to compliment women, I still caught a little bit of that era. You know what I mean? Now, and she thinks she's something. Where it used to be, hey, you word well, you're looking nice in that. Or if a brother did something, oh, that brother, that's the best painter around. We weren't afraid to give compliments. And the last thing I'll say to that point is, in this world, in this society, the only emotion that the enemy allows for the Black man that's okay is anger, because it's a destructive emotion if it's not properly handled, as we learn in the study, guys. And for the woman, it's depression. Well, why is she so depressed? Because in truth, and on a higher level, she can't communicate and have the natural relationship God set up with her man. Well, why is he so angry? Because he can't control his woman. See, these things, when we are low like that, we fall away from what we would do naturally, for what Allah has put in us as male and female to do naturally. So now it's so big of a gap between each other that she's depressed because she ain't got him. He's angry because he can't control her in a good way, good control, as the male should be able to. So now we got to go ahead and employ this technology, brother, and we should be swift. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, flee to Allah. So we got to flee to that which is good for us and use it and use it and use it until we come up out of the rubble of that which has been done to us and the things that have happened to us in our personal lives. But yes, it does improve your ability to love.
Excellent. And thank you very much. And thank you all for watching. The excellent responses to Catina and Brother Michael. Excellent responses from you as well. Brother Michael, if you saw someone who was going through something that they didn't want to talk about publicly, right? That they would make, but you just look at them and could tell that they had a bad posture or something. What advice would you give them to encourage them to get Dianetics?
Yeah, I've encouraged many of the young bros and sisters in the mosque to go in that way. I see a lot of frustration among our generation in the Nation of Islam and in the streets. So if it depends, I've shared with some of the bros that even though because Dianetics is a process, you know what I'm saying? It really, I mean, you can get your initial wins and whatnot, but the minister told us it ain't gonna be no overnight success. It's a process. You dealing with yourself. You know what I mean? So, I mean, look how long it would take the minister to get to where where he's at. You know what I mean? That's a lot of work. That's a lot of years. And so, even though we have a tool, I've been using a tool for me. It's still a process for me, and I have to pace myself in it. So the thing that I would do is say, go look into the technology, start at beginning. Start reading the book, get on the book course, right? And then you want to become an auditor, because to become an auditor, you learn how to help another person help you when they're trying to help you. Because you go into that technology, you go into those sessions, and you're like, what's going on? Why they ask me all these questions? It can kind of get a little frustrating, even though a really good auditor can really help you. And somebody who's really good at supervising can really help that person to help you. But you got to take it all away. You got to become an auditor and then go further and further on. But you want to start with Dianetics, the modern science of mental health. I would encourage them to have if they're in the mosque, I would say find a brother or sister that's in the mosque who's auditing. But if you got a auditor who's in your region and they way up in another region somewhere, because you got like 25 folk in your mosque that just ain't on it, then you need to go to the church. And if they got an Asian, if they got a white man, a white woman, if you a sister, of course you're gonna want a sister to take you in session. You know, I've been audited by a whole bunch of folk. I really don't care, but sometimes you do want that male, and sometimes even I've had younger people audit me that was younger than me. Like I'll go get one. When I had an issue one time, I had a young 15-year-old member of the church audit me and take me in session. Sometimes the youth and the younger you are, the less biased you are. and you can kind of feel more comfortable with somebody who's gonna follow it to the T versus some adult. But whatever is most comfortable for you, just get started. Get down to the church. If you don't have somebody in the mosque, go to the church and let the people help you, and ask Allah to send you an angel. Ask Allah to let you meet an angel or take over the mind of that individual to help you in that session. The next thing I would probably do is tell them to pray. Like, go to prayer and seek refuge in God in sincere prayer. Because in some of my most darkest moments, it was prayer, man. It was prayer. It was letting it all out on a rug that actually picked my tone and my level up to help me keep going, in my darkest time. So yeah.
Excellent. And we thank you very much, Brother Michael, for
And
your
don't be. I would tell them, don't be afraid to pay the money too. Don't be
yes,
afraid to
sir.
cough up whatever funds you have, because we black folk, we spending nearly $1 trillion a year, and we know how to spend money, but a lot of us spend our money on things that have little value, and we break and foam at the mouth when it comes to something that we got to spend a little bit of money on for something that is valuable. That's just the type of people we are. We carry it all in life, no matter what level of knowledge we on. We all have an issue as black folk with, we got the McDonald's versus bean soup, making it from scratch problem. I'd rather go to McDonald's because it's $1 versus spending $80 on all these groceries, because I'm gonna make it from scratch and it's gonna take me like 4 hours to make the dish. So we really gotta change our thinking when it comes to therapy. Stop spending money with the devil who ain't giving you nothing, and trust God and his messenger, Messiah, and his Jesus in our midst, that directs us to something that would ask you to spend a little bit, but it's God directing your footsteps. It's not the enemy leading you wrong.
Excellent and powerful. And thank you, Brother Michael. And I wanted to say that it was about 2 years ago, before a drill competition. I went to a Dynetics thing at Savior's Day, and it was Brother Michael. That was my first interaction with him. That audited me the day before the drill competition.
Oh yes,
And
sir.
he helped me deal with some things that when you on stage, insecurities come. I'm an actor, so when you're on stage, you can't be insecure on stage. So he helped me deal with some things through a session that were very powerful, and I appreciate that, Brother Mike. When I'm telling y'all,
praise be to Allah.
works. I'm telling y'all, it works. It helps you deal with depression. It helps you deal with insecurities. And Sister Catina, what advice would you give to any one was hesitant about getting Dynetics, or what advice would you give them?
Okay. If we're talking in terms of a believer, then I would just talk them through it. When I first became a registered Muslim, I learned from a pioneer. He said, if you let a person talk long enough, they'll solve their own problem. So generally speaking, listening is a very good quality to have. So I generally just listen to people and hear what their holdbacks are and what their reservations are and that type of thing, and then make a suggestion as that. For instance, if someone says to me, like, oh, I don't want everybody to know my business, and all of that. Generally speaking, you can pick that up. You can discern that, but accurately, right? Not like the Star Wars Yoda, I feel the Force type of thing, but just discerning it by way of listening to what they're saying. And that's an auditor listens and compute, right? And so when you're listening, you can kind of pick up, okay, they're a little introverted. They don't really, want somebody, they're afraid that somebody's gonna do something with them. So what I try to do is make it okay, and make them know that it's okay to come to somebody. Now, I might not be your auditor, but okay, let's talk about what's happening. And then as we talk about it, then make the suggestion. Because generally I may say, something like, don't know, it don't matter what you did. We no auditors looking for what you did. We looking for what's been done to you, because that's the problem that you're having. And then I don't make it so serious all the time. It's not like, well, brother, you really need to. And this isn't talking to brothers and sisters. I try to keep a degree of lightness, because I heard a lecture once with Brother Jabril, And he said, you know, people are okay with we're talking about their hurt leg. They're okay with talking about their hurt arm, their hurt back. They are not okay about talking about their hurt mind. And the reason for that is because as we are taught, right? The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the brain was created to think properly. So it's created to get the right answer every time. If you think about it, you pretty much gonna think that's the right answer, right? And you're gonna be certain that that's the right answer until somebody comes along and shows you a higher math and show you, well, you know, I can see you was right here, you know, but right here is where you kind of went wrong, right? So that's how the mind works. It's like, no, I don't go outside on Tuesdays when I see yellow trucks. Why? Because it's something about yellow trucks, so I don't do that. Now, you and I know that that's not necessarily a rational deduction. But then how do you get that person to, they don't have to necessarily see that. But what they can see is that, hey, there's some things that's happened to you just by way of what you said. You know, you know, your mom took you to your doctor and then the doctor gave you a shot you weren't supposed to get. Well, let's deal with that. So taking the lesser of what's happening. And then if, you know, and then, you know, show them. I'm by being an auditor and I have a Dianetics group, I do seminars, I show them videos, and I relate it to our teachings and what the minister has already said in a way that lets them know, listen, I care about you and you are cared about. And even if it don't mean nothing to you, which it does, it does. It means something to you if somebody cares, right? And so even if you can't get it that I care, know that he cares, or whoever it is, somebody cares about you. And hey, you know, let's go on and handle that. It's not a big deal. I never make it seem like it's a big deal, because in that way you make a person feel like they're wrong or they're bad or what have you. You know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you all both. Our time is up. Thank you all. To Loretta X Jackson said, yes, it does. Praise be to Allah. Thank you. Oh, Sister Robin says, Assalamu alaikum salam, ma'am. I want to thank Brother Michael, and I want to thank Sister Catina for taking time out of your busy schedule to help us encourage people to deal with ways that are intelligent ways of beating depression, because it is affecting us as a community, as a society, whatever, the world, all races, all genders, all colors, all religions, everybody's affected by depression. And thank you all for helping us deal with this, man. It's real and in a positive way. So thank you, Brother Michael. Thank you, Sister Catina.
Sure.
I'll post this on YouTube to try to help encourage others. And look forward to you all coming back on the show so we can discuss it on another day as well.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it too.
Yes, sir. No
All
problem.
praises to Allah.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you, sir. All praises to Allah.